A humble mother and her 6-year-old daughter are kicked out after entering a car dealership to ask for water. Then the little girl says 3 words that shock everyone. Drop your location in the comments. I love knowing where my viewers are from. Let's get into the story. The summer sun beat down mercilessly on Emily Williams's ancient sedan as it sputtered and died, right across from Blackwood Luxury Motors. Steam hissed from under the hood like a final breath. Emily gripped the steering, wheel knuckles white, fighting back tears that threatened to spill. "Is the car sick again, Aunt Emmy?" Lily's small voice came from the back seat, innocent and concerned. Emily caught her niece's reflection in the rearview mirror. Those striking blue eyes, so much like her mother's, wide with worry. At 6 years old, Lily was already too familiar with things breaking down and not being fixed. "Just tired, sweetie, like we all get sometimes," Emily replied, forcing brightness into her voice. She reached for her phone, dialing roadside assistance for the 3rd time this month. The recording informed her of an unusually high call volume and an estimated wait time of over 2 hours. Emily ended the call, glancing worriedly at Lily, whose cheeks were growing flushed in the stifling heat. The eviction notice was still crumpled in her purse. Final warning stamped in cruel red letters across the top. 3 months behind on rent. Her last tips from the diner barely covered Lily's new school shoes, let alone the mountain of bills that grew each day. "I'm thirsty, Aunt Emmy," Lily whispered, her normally exuberant voice subdued by the heat. Emily unscrewed their shared water bottle, tilting it to find only a few drops remaining. Through the windshield, Blackwood Luxury Motors gleamed like a mirage. All glass, chrome, and promises of lives they could never afford. Inside, she could see people in expensive clothes sipping from actual glass flutes. They had water, air, conditioning, help. 5 years she'd been raising Lily since Olivia died, giving birth to her. 5 years of double shifts and skipped meals. 5 years of promising herself she would never beg. But as she watched a bead of sweat roll down Lily's temple, Emily realized pride was a luxury she could no longer afford. "Come on, sweetie," she said, reaching back to unbuckle Lily's seatbelt. "Let's see if those nice people will let us use their phone and maybe get a drink of water." As they walked toward the gleaming dealership, Emily straightened her waitress uniform, still wrinkled from her morning shift. She fixed Lily's ponytail and whispered, "Best behavior, okay? We just need a little help." They approached the grand entrance, Emily's heart pounding against her ribs. Through the spotless glass doors, she could see a world that operated by different rules than hers. A world of ease and privilege that had always existed just beyond her reach. With one last deep breath, Emily pushed open the door, feeling the blessed rush of cool air against her skin. She stepped into Blackwood Luxury Motors, not knowing that this desperate act would change their lives forever. The afternoon VIP event at Blackwood Luxury Motors was proceeding perfectly. Connor Blackwood surveyed the showroom with quiet satisfaction, as potential investors admired the latest European imports. At 34, Connor had transformed his father's struggling dealership into Boston's premier luxury automotive empire. Today's event was crucial. These connections would secure the upcoming IPO that would cement his legacy. "Mr. Blackwood, the representative from Shanghai is impressed with the projection figures," his assistant murmured, handing him a fresh champagne flute. Connor nodded, adjusting his custom-tailored suit jacket. Success was in the details, the precisely dimmed lighting, the strategic placement of the most exclusive models, the caliber of champagne being served. The glass doors swished open, disrupting the carefully orchestrated atmosphere. Connor turned, irritation flashing across his handsome features as he spotted a disheveled young woman in what appeared to be a waitress uniform, clutching the hand of a small child. "Marcus," Connor signaled discreetly to his head of security. "We have uninvited guests." Before Marcus could intervene, the woman approached one of the refreshment servers. "Excuse me," Emily said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Our car broke down across the street. Could we please have a glass of water? It's so hot outside," and my niece, Connor, stepped forward. "I'm afraid we're hosting a private event. My staff can call you a taxi, but you'll need to wait outside." Emily felt Lily press against her leg. Please, just some water. We've been waiting for roadside assistance and it's over 90 degrees. Marcus will escort you out, Connor stated firmly, gesturing toward the door. As the security guard approached, Lily stepped away from Emily's protective grasp. Her bright, blue eyes fixed on Connor's face with an intensity that momentarily unnerved him. "You look like my daddy," she announced clearly, her voice carrying across the suddenly silent showroom. Connor froze, staring at the child. Something about those striking blue eyes triggered a distant memory, eyes he'd seen before, years ago. The same unusual shade of sapphire blue that stared back at him from his own mirror each morning. "Lily, honey," Emily whispered, pulling her niece back. "I'm sorry," she said to Connor, embarrassment flooding her cheeks. She's never even seen a picture of her father. The heat must be getting to her. But Connor wasn't listening. He was transfixed by the child's face, the shape of her eyes, the curve of her chin. Features that seemed hauntingly familiar in ways he couldn't immediately place. "Your name is Lily?" he asked, his voice unnaturally tight. The child nodded solemnly. "And your mother?" Connor asked, his eyes flicking to Emily. "I'm her aunt," Emily clarified quickly. "Her mother was my sister, Olivia Williams." The color drained from Connor's face at the name. The champagne flute slipped from his fingers, shattering on the polished floor. Emily paced the worn carpet of their small apartment, the wooden box clutched tightly in her hands. After the bizarre encounter at the dealership, Connor Blackwood's assistant had taken their information, promised roadside assistance for their car, and politely but firmly ushered them out. "Where are we going to look for Mommy?" Lily asked, sitting cross-legged on her small bed, watching Emily with curious eyes. "We're not looking for Mommy, sweetie," Emily replied gently. "Remember our talks about how Mommy is in heaven? We're looking for a picture that might help me understand something." Emily set the box down on the kitchen table, Olivia's keepsake box. She'd preserved it carefully after her sister's death, knowing someday Lily would want these fragments of her mother's life. Her fingers trembled as she lifted the lid. Inside lay Olivia's most treasured possessions: a few pieces of costume jewelry, handwritten poetry, birthday cards, and beneath it all, a small stack of photographs. Emily shuffled through them quickly. Olivia's college graduation, the sisters, at the beach, Olivia holding newborn Lily in the hospital, just hours before complications took her life. Then she found it, a glossy event photo from 7 years ago. Olivia, radiant in a borrowed blue gown, standing beside a younger Connor Blackwood at a charity gala. His arm was wrapped possessively around her waist, both of them beaming at the camera. Emily sank into a chair, staring at the image. The connection Lily had instantly recognized now seemed painfully obvious. The same striking blue eyes, the same defined jawline. How had she never noticed before? Olivia had never revealed the name of Lily's father. "He chose ambition over love," she'd said when Emily pressed her during the pregnancy. "He doesn't need to know. We'll be fine without him." Pride had kept Olivia from seeking support, even when medical bills mounted during her high-risk pregnancy. And after Olivia's death, Emily had honored her sister's wishes, never searching for the man who had broken her heart. "Is that my daddy?" Lily's voice startled Emily. The child had silently approached, pointing at Connor's face in the photograph. Emily hesitated, unsure how to answer. "Why did you say that man at the car place looked like your daddy, Lily? You've never seen pictures of him before?" Lily shrugged, the simple gesture heartbreakingly adult on her small frame. "I just knew. His eyes are like mine. And sometimes, when I dream about having a daddy, he looks like that." Emily pulled Lily into a tight hug, fighting back tears. Her phone buzzed on the counter, an unknown number. She answered cautiously. "Ms. Williams? This is James Thornton, legal counsel for Connor Blackwood. Mr. Blackwood would like to arrange a meeting regarding the matter we discussed today. Additionally, he requests your consent for a DNA test to confirm the child's paternity." Emily closed her eyes, the photograph still clutched in her hand. "Ms. Williams? Are you there?" "Yes," Emily replied, watching Lily return to her coloring book. blissfully unaware of how their world was about to change. Tell Mr. Blackwood we'll meet, but make it clear we're not asking for anything from him. This is about Lily, not money. She hung up before the lawyer could respond, wondering if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. The DNA testing facility was tucked away in a nondescript medical building. Emily sat rigidly in the waiting room, watching Lily flip through a worn children's magazine. 3 days had passed since Connor's legal team had arranged this appointment, insisting on using a private lab for expedited results. Ms. Williams? The technician appeared at the door. We're ready for Lily now. Emily knelt before her niece. Remember what we talked about? The nice lady just needs to swab the inside of your cheek. It doesn't hurt at all. Like when we watch those detective shows? Lily asked, blue eyes wide with interest rather than fear. Exactly like that, Emily smiled, grateful for her niece's resilience. As they followed the technician, Emily noticed Connor standing at the reception desk, his tall frame impossibly out of place among the ordinary surroundings. Their eyes met briefly before he looked away, his expression unreadable. The process was quick. A simple cheek swab for Lily, another for Connor, collected in separate rooms. The technician had explained the results would be available within 48 hours, but Connor's influence accelerated the timeline. By that evening, Emily's phone rang. The results confirmed paternity. James Thornton's voice was clinical. Mr. Blackwood requests a meeting tomorrow at his office to discuss arrangements. Arrangements? Emily echoed, tension coiling in her stomach. What exactly does that mean? Child support, visitation, legal recognition. These matters need to be addressed promptly, particularly given the timing before the company's public offering. The following day, Emily found herself in Connor's sleek downtown office, 40 floors above the city. Lily had been left with Mrs. Hernandez, their elderly neighbor who watched her during Emily's shifts. Before we begin, Emily said firmly before Connor could speak, I need to make something clear. I didn't know you were Lily's father until that day at the dealership. Olivia never told me your name. Connor leaned back in his leather chair, studying her with cold skepticism. Quite a coincidence, isn't it? Your car breaking down outside my dealership right before our IPO announcement. Very theatrical. You think this was planned? Emily's voice rose. That I've been hiding Lily for 6 years, waiting for the perfect moment to extort you? I worked double shifts at a diner to keep a roof over our heads. If I'd known who you were, don't you think I might have reached out before we got an eviction notice? Connor's expression didn't change. People have gone to greater lengths for money, Ms. Williams. I'm not people, Emily snapped. And Lily isn't leverage. She's a little girl who deserves to know her father, though I'm starting to question whether that's in her best interest. The silence stretched between them until Connor finally spoke. Did Olivia? His voice faltered. Did she know she was pregnant when we ended things? Emily's anger softened slightly. Yes, but she said you'd made your priorities clear. Your career came first. Connor stood abruptly, turning to the window overlooking the city he'd conquered. I'd like to meet her. Properly this time. She's not a business acquisition, Mr. Blackwood. She's a child with feelings. I'm aware, he replied, facing her again. But she's also my daughter. And that changes everything. Meredith Lancaster's stiletto heels clicked sharply against the marble floor as she entered Connor's penthouse apartment. She found him in his home office, staring at the DNA test results for the 3rd time. Connor, darling, you've been avoiding my calls, she said, setting her designer handbag on his desk. Her diamond engagement ring caught the light as she reached to touch his shoulder. I've been busy, Connor replied without looking up. There's been a complication. Meredith's perfectly shaped eyebrows arched. The child? Your assistant mentioned something about a paternity test. Her voice remained steady, but a slight tightening around her eyes betrayed her displeasure. Her name is Lily, Connor said, finally meeting Meredith's gaze. And yes, she's mine. The DNA confirmed it yesterday. Meredith settled into the chair across from him, crossing her legs elegantly. And the mother? Where has she been for the past 6 years? The mother died in childbirth. Lily's been raised by her aunt, Emily Williams. How convenient, Meredith said coolly. They appear just weeks before the IPO announcement. Have you considered this might be a carefully orchestrated plan? My father has seen several executives targeted this way. Connor rubbed his temples. Meredith's father, Harold Lancaster, owned the largest luxury automotive distribution network on the East Coast. Their engagement had opened doors that would have remained firmly closed otherwise. I've considered it, he admitted. But Emily seems genuinely shocked that I'm Lily's father. And Lily. He paused, remembering those eyes so like his own. She recognized me somehow. Meredith reached for her phone. Let me call Julian. He's the best private investigator in Boston. We need to know what we're dealing with before you make any commitments. I've already made a commitment, Connor said firmly. I'm meeting Lily this weekend. A proper introduction. Meredith's smile didn't reach her eyes. Of course. I just think we should protect ourselves. The timing is suspicious, Connor. Your father worked his entire life to build this company, and your expansion plans will take it global. We can't let some unexpected complication derail everything. Across town, Emily sat on the edge of Lily's bed, answering an endless stream of questions about her upcoming meeting with Connor. Will he like my drawing? I made it special, Lily asked, holding up a colorful crayon portrait of 3 stick figures labeled me, Aunt Emmy, and Daddy. Emily's heart tightened. I'm sure he'll love it, sweetie. Will he want to be my daddy now? Lily's innocent question hung in the air. Emily chose her words carefully. Mr. Blackwood is your biological father, but being a real daddy means more than that. It means showing up, being there when you need him. Let's give him a chance to show us who he wants to be in your life, okay? Later that night, after Lily was asleep, Emily received an email from Connor's lawyer outlining the terms of their meeting. A neutral location, 2 hours maximum, no discussion of financial arrangements. The clinical language made the meeting sound more like a business negotiation than a father meeting his daughter. As Emily closed her laptop, her phone buzzed with a text from a number she didn't recognize. Ms. Williams, this is Connor Blackwood. Personal number. Does Lily have any allergies or foods she particularly likes? And does she prefer to be called Lily or Lillian? Emily stared at the message, surprised by this small gesture of consideration. Perhaps there was more to Connor Blackwood than his cold boardroom persona. She typed back a reply, allowing herself a cautious flicker of hope for Lily's sake. Saturday morning dawned clear and bright, perfect for a playground meeting. Emily helped Lily into her favorite yellow sundress, trying to keep her own anxiety from showing as she brushed the child's hair. Will you stay with me when I meet my daddy? Lily asked, clutching her drawing tightly. Of course, Emily assured her. I'll be right there the whole time. They arrived at the small neighborhood park 15 minutes early. Emily deliberately chose a bench with clear sightlines to the playground equipment, watching Lily swing her legs as they waited. At precisely 10 o'clock, a sleek black car pulled up. Connor emerged, dressed more casually than Emily had seen him before. Dark jeans and a light blue button-down shirt that somehow matched his eyes exactly. As he approached, Emily noticed he carried a small gift bag. Good morning, he said formally, his gaze immediately finding Lily, who stared back with unabashed curiosity. Lily, Emily said gently, this is Mr. Blackwood. He's your biological father. You can call me Connor, he said, crouching down to Lily's level. It's very nice to meet you, Lily. Lily studied him intently before extending her drawing. I made this for you, see? It's all of us. Connor took the paper, genuine surprise flickering across his features at being included in her concept of family so readily. This is. Thank you. It's wonderful. His discomfort was evident, but Emily noticed he was making a sincere effort. I brought something for you too, he said, offering Lily the gift bag. Inside was a small stuffed elephant. I heard from your aunt that you like elephants, Connor explained. I love elephants, Lily exclaimed, hugging the toy to her chest. They never forget their families, even when they're far away. The simple statement visibly affected Connor, who glanced at Emily with an expression she couldn't quite read. "Would you like to play on the swings?" he asked Lily after an awkward silence. For the next hour, Emily watched from the bench as Connor pushed Lily on the swings, helped her across the monkey bars, and listened attentively to her endless stream of six-year-old observations and questions. His initial stiffness gradually melted away, replaced by genuine engagement. "Higher, higher," Lily called from the swing, laughing as Connor obliged. "She's fearless," Connor remarked when he returned to the bench while Lily explored the slide. "Like her mother," Emily replied softly. Connor nodded, his expression somber. "Olivia always was. I've been thinking about her a lot since learning about Lily. She would have been an amazing mother. Why didn't she tell me?" The question burst from him suddenly. "About the pregnancy?" Emily sighed. "She said you made it clear your career came first, that your 5-year plan didn't include a family." Connor flinched. "I did say that, but if I'd known..." Would it really have changed anything? Before he could answer, Lily ran back to them. "Can we get ice cream? Please, please, please." As they walked to the nearby ice cream stand, a man with a camera emerged from behind a tree, snapping rapid photos before retreating. "Who was that?" Emily asked, alarmed. Connor's face darkened. "Paparazzi. I should have anticipated this." He pulled out his phone. "I need to get ahead of this story before it breaks. The meeting is over." "But we just got here," Lily protested, her small face falling. Emily watched Connor's expression shift between concern for his public image and Lily's disappointment. The decision he made next would tell her everything she needed to know about what kind of father he might become. The photo hit social media by that evening. Connor Blackwood, Boston's most eligible bachelor, pushing a small child on a swing. By morning, business publications had picked up the story. Blackwood Motors heir discovers secret daughter weeks before IPO. Connor's phone hadn't stopped ringing since. His PR team, his investors, his future father-in-law, all demanding explanations. He stood at his office window, watching the city below while his assistant read the latest headlines. "Blackwood's secret, child hidden for 6 years," she recited. "And the financial blogs are speculating about impact on the IPO. Mr. Lancaster has called 3 times this morning." "Tell Harold I'll call him back," Connor replied, his thoughts drifting to Lily's disappointed face when he'd abruptly ended their outing. Despite the crisis, that memory bothered him most. Across town, Emily hurried Lily toward the school entrance, trying to shield her from the reporter who'd been waiting outside their apartment building. "Ms. Williams, is it true you've been hiding? Connor Blackwood's daughter? Are you seeking a settlement?" "No comment," Emily said firmly, hurrying Lily along. "Why now, Ms. Williams? Why reveal Lily's paternity right before the Blackwood Motors IPO?" Emily stopped, anger flaring. "We didn't reveal anything. We asked for a glass of water because our car broke down. That's it. Now please. She's just a child trying to get to school." The day didn't improve. Emily's phone rang constantly with unknown numbers. Her manager at the diner asked her to take some time off until this blows over. By afternoon, she received a call from Lily's school. "Ms. Williams, there's been an incident. Some children were teasing Lily about being on the news. She's quite upset." When Emily arrived, she found Lily curled in a chair in the principal's office, tear tracks on her flushed cheeks. "Tommy said I'm only pretending he's my daddy for money," Lily whispered as Emily gathered her close. "But I didn't even know he was my daddy until now." That evening, as Emily helped Lily with homework, her phone rang again. Connor's number. "Have you seen the news?" he asked without preamble. "It's been hard to avoid," Emily replied, her voice tight. "Lily was bullied at school today because of it." There was a long pause. "I'm sorry," Connor finally said, genuine regret in his voice. "My PR team is working to control the narrative, but it's complicated." "Complicated?" Emily echoed flatly. "Is that what we are to you? A complication?" "That's not what I meant." His voice softened. "How is she?" confused, hurt, wondering why being your daughter makes people say mean things about her. Another lengthy silence followed. I have a property outside the city, a lake house that's very private. The press doesn't know about it. You both could stay there until this dies down. You want us to hide? I want to protect Lily, Connor replied, surprising Emily with his vehemence. And you. This isn't your fault, but you're both caught in the middle of it. Emily looked at Lily, who was pretending not to listen while coloring at the kitchen table. Let me think about it, she finally said. After hanging up, Emily sat beside Lily. How would you feel about a little vacation, just until people stop being so nosy about our business? Lily looked up, those striking blue eyes, Connor's eyes, serious beyond her years. Will my daddy be there too? The question hung in the air, weighted with implications neither of them fully understood. The lake house was nothing like Emily had imagined. Instead of the ostentatious mansion she'd expected, it was a sprawling cedar cabin nestled among pine trees with a wide deck overlooking crystal blue water. As Connor's driver pulled up the winding gravel drive, Lily pressed her face against the window, eyes wide. It looks like a fairy tale house, she whispered. Emily had reluctantly accepted Connor's offer after reporters had started calling Lily's school. The principal's concerned voice had been the final push she needed. Perhaps some time away would be best for everyone, he'd suggested gently. Connor met them on the porch, looking oddly out of place in casual clothes, jeans and a faded Harvard sweatshirt that made him appear younger, more approachable. Welcome, he said, hands shoved awkwardly in his pockets. I had the caretaker stock the kitchen and prepare the guest rooms. Inside, rustic luxury surrounded them. Exposed beams, stone, fireplace and floor-to-ceiling windows framing the lake view. Connor showed Lily to her room, which featured twin beds covered in colorful quilts. I wasn't sure which bed you'd prefer, he explained, his usual corporate confidence faltering. The caretaker's wife put some books on the shelf. And there's a telescope on the deck for stargazing if you'd like to try it later. Lily approached the telescope with reverence. I've never seen real stars. The city lights are too bright at home. I remember the first time my father brought me here. Connor said more to himself than to Lily. I couldn't believe how many stars there were. Emily watched this exchange from the doorway, struck by this glimpse of Connor's childhood. She'd imagined him born into privilege, but the way he spoke about the stars suggested a man who remembered what it was like to discover wonder. That evening, after a surprisingly relaxed dinner that Connor had arranged from a local restaurant, Lily convinced them both to make s'mores at the fire pit near the shore. Aunt Emmy, Connor doesn't know how to roast marshmallows, Lily announced, giggling as Connor's third marshmallow burst into flames. Clearly not my area of expertise, he admitted with a self-deprecating smile that transformed his usually serious face. Here, Emily said, handing him another marshmallow. The trick is patience. Hold it just above the coals, not in the flames. As Connor concentrated on following her instructions, Emily found herself studying his profile in the firelight. The full, hard lines of his face had softened, and she could see traces of Lily in his expressions, particularly the focused determination as he rotated the marshmallow with excessive precision. Perfect, Lily declared when his marshmallow turned golden brown. Now you squish it with chocolate and graham crackers. Later, after Lily had fallen asleep beneath the unfamiliar stars, Emily found Connor on the deck, nursing a glass of whiskey. Thank you, she said quietly, joining him at the railing. This was exactly what Lily needed. What about you? Connor asked, turning to face her. What do you need, Emily? The question caught her off guard. No one had asked her that in a very long time. Stability for Lily, she answered automatically. A normal childhood. That's what Lily needs, Connor pressed. I'm asking about you. Emily gazed out at the moonlight dancing across the lake. I used to have dreams of my own, she admitted. Before Olivia died, I was halfway through nursing school. You gave it up to raise Lily, Connor said, understanding dawning in his eyes. It wasn't really a choice, Emily shrugged. She needed me. You've done an extraordinary job with her, Connor said softly. I've been watching you with her since we arrived. The way you anticipated her fears about a new place. How you help her express her feelings. I've had teams of executives who weren't as well managed. Emily laughed despite herself. Lily's easier than most executives, I imagine. More reasonable demands. Connor smiled, but his eyes remained serious. I've been so focused on what this situation means for me, for my company. I never considered what you sacrificed. The admission hung between them, sincere and unexpected. As the night breeze rippled across the lake, something shifted in their uneasy alliance. Not quite trust, but perhaps the beginning of understanding. The sun was setting over Boston's exclusive Beacon Hill as Connor's car pulled up outside an elegant townhouse. Emily smoothed Lily's dress for the third time, trying to calm her own nerves. Remember what we talked about? Emily whispered. This is your grandmother, but she might need time to get to know you. Like Daddy did? Lily asked, glancing at Connor in the front seat. Connor's eyes met Emily's in the rearview mirror, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. Lily had started calling him Daddy during their weekend at the lake house, and neither had the heart to correct her. My mother can be difficult, Connor warned as they approached the imposing front door. She's from a different generation, different expectations. Eleanor Blackwood stood waiting in the foyer, tall and regal in a tailored navy suit, her silver hair swept into an immaculate chignon. Her sharp eyes, the same striking blue as Connor's and Lily's, assessed them instantly. So, she said coolly, this is the child. Mother, Connor's voice carried a warning. This is Lily, my daughter, and her aunt, Emily Williams. Eleanor's gaze lingered on Emily's modest dress before returning to Lily. Come into the parlor. We shouldn't discuss family matters in the entryway. The parlor was filled with antiques that Emily was afraid to touch. Lily perched on the edge of a brocade sofa, her small legs dangling. I understand you've been raising the child alone, Eleanor addressed Emily, her tone making it sound like an accusation. Lily, Emily corrected gently. And yes, since my sister passed away. How convenient that you've discovered her paternity now, just as Connor's company is about to go public. Connor set down his drink with a sharp click. That's enough, Mother. We've already established that Emily didn't know I was Lily's father. The DNA test confirmed Lily is a Blackwood. DNA isn't everything, Eleanor replied. The Blackwood name represents 5 generations of Mrs. Blackwood, Lily interrupted, her small voice cutting through the tension. Are those your ballet pictures? Eleanor followed Lily's gaze to a collection of framed photographs on the sideboard. Yes. How did you know they were ballet? The special shoes, Lily replied earnestly. I take ballet lessons at the community center. My teacher says I have good turnout. For the first time, Eleanor looked directly at Lily, really seeing her. I danced with the Boston Ballet for 3 seasons before I married Connor's father. Can you still do a plie? Lily asked, eyes wide with interest. To Emily's astonishment, Eleanor set aside her teacup and rose. A dancer never forgets, she said, demonstrating a perfect plie despite her age. Your turn. Lily slid off the sofa and mimicked the movement, her form surprisingly good for a 6-year-old. Not bad, Eleanor assessed, her tone softening slightly. You have the Blackwood posture. Connor could never manage a decent plie, too impatient. I was 8, Mother, Connor interjected. But there was warmth beneath his exasperation. As Lily continued to charm Eleanor with questions about ballet, Emily noticed Connor watching them with an unreadable expression. When Eleanor excused herself to retrieve a photo album, he leaned closer to Emily. I've never seen her warm to anyone this quickly, he murmured. Not even Meredith after 3 years. The mention of his fiancée sent a strange pang through Emily. How is Meredith handling all this? Connor's expression darkened. She's adjusting. When Eleanor returned, she carried not only the photo album but also a small velvet box. Lily, come here, she commanded, but her voice had lost its earlier frost. Inside the box lay a delicate gold locket on a fine chain. This has belonged to the firstborn daughter of each Blackwood generation since 1897, Eleanor explained, removing it from the box. My mother gave it to me, and I had always assumed I would give it to Connor's daughter someday. She fastened the chain around Lily's neck with surprising gentleness. It appears that day has come, though not as I imagined. As they left the townhouse that evening, Emily noticed Connor watching Lily touch the locket with reverent fingers. Something had shifted tonight. A bridge formed across years of absence and misunderstanding. Your mother is quite something, Emily said as they drove back to the lake house. She is, Connor agreed. But for the record, she told me something while you were helping Lily in the bathroom. He paused, his fingers tightening on the steering wheel. She said, "Don't make the same mistake your father and I did, Connor. Some things matter more than empires." The annual Children's Hospital Charity Gala glittered with Boston's elite. Connor adjusted his bow tie nervously, scanning the ballroom. This was his first public appearance with both Emily and Lily since the news had broken about his newfound daughter. "Stop fidgeting," Meredith whispered, her diamond earrings catching the light as she leaned close. "Everyone is watching." She was resplendent in a designer gown, her practiced smile never faltering as she greeted board members and investors. But Connor had noticed the coldness behind her eyes whenever Lily was mentioned. Across the room, Emily stood awkwardly in a simple black dress, the nicest she owned, but clearly not designed for such an event. Lily twirled beside her in a blue party dress that Eleanor had insisted on purchasing, the Blackwood locket gleaming at her throat. "We should join them," Connor said, already moving toward Emily and Lily. Meredith's fingers tightened around his arm. "Later. The Harrington Group is here, and they're considering a major investment in the IPO." Her smile remained fixed. "Family, time can wait 20 minutes. Connor hesitated, torn between business obligations and the pull he felt toward his daughter. Emily caught his eye across the room, giving him a small nod of understanding. She'd become surprisingly adept at reading his expressions over the past weeks. An hour later, Connor finally broke free from investor conversations. He found Emily and Lily at a quiet table near the orchestra, sharing a plate of chocolate-covered strawberries. "Having fun?" he asked, dropping into a chair beside them. "The music is pretty," Lily said, chocolate smudged at the corner of her mouth. "And Grandma Eleanor taught me how to hold my fork like a proper lady." Connor smiled, reaching out to wipe the chocolate from Lily's face with his napkin. The gesture felt surprisingly natural now. "You look very proper indeed." "Your mother has been wonderful with her tonight," Emily added. "She's introduced Lily to half the room as her granddaughter." Connor felt a rush of gratitude toward his usually difficult mother. "I'm sorry I've been tied up with investors." "We understand," Emily assured him. "This is your work." Before Connor could respond, Meredith appeared, champagne flute in hand. "Connor, darling, the Prestons are asking for you." Her gaze swept dismissively over Emily. "I'm sure Ms. Williams understands how these events work. Connections must be maintained." Emily stiffened slightly. "Of course. We're fine here." "Actually," Connor said, surprising himself, "I promised Lily a dance. The investors can wait 5 minutes." Meredith's smile froze. "The Prestons don't like to be kept waiting." "Then perhaps you could entertain them," Connor suggested, standing and extending his hand to Lily. "Shall we, Princess?" As he led Lily to the dance floor, placing her tiny feet on top of his shoes to guide her through the steps, Connor caught sight of Meredith's furious expression. The confrontation would come. Later, he knew. But for now, his daughter's delighted giggles were worth it. The storm broke as they were leaving. Meredith cornered him near the coat check, her voice low but intense. "You need to decide what matters to you, Connor. Our future or playing house with your waitress and her charity case." Connor stared at her, shocked. "Lily is my daughter." "And I'm your fiancé," Meredith hissed. "The Lancaster connection is what's making this IPO possible. My father is having serious doubts about your focus lately." Before Connor could respond, Emily approached with a sleepy Lily in her arms. Meredith turned to her with a brittle smile. Emily, dear, that dress is so practical. Next time, do let me recommend my stylist. We can't have Connor Blackwood's daughter being seen with someone who shops off the rack. The deliberate cruelty of the comment hung in the air. Connor watched the color drain from Emily's face, followed by a flash of hurt quickly masked. Meredith, that's enough, Connor said sharply, but Emily was already backing away. It's late. Lily needs to get to bed. Later that night, after dropping them at the lake house, Connor received a text from Emily. Maybe we should reconsider our arrangement. Limited visitation might be better for everyone. Lily can't be a pawn in adult power struggles. The Blackwood Motors boardroom fell silent as Connor closed the polished leather portfolio in front of him. 14 executive faces stared back, expressions ranging from disbelief to outright alarm. To summarize, Connor said, his voice steady, despite the tension crackling through the room, I'm recommending we postpone the IPO for 6 months. This is unprecedented. Gerald Matthews, the CFO, finally broke the silence. The roadshow is scheduled to begin next week. Investors are lined up. The Lancaster Group is... I'm aware of the timing, Connor interrupted, and I've discussed this with legal. We can cite market volatility as the official reason. But that's not the real reason, is it? This came from Diana Chen, head of strategy, and the only person who had known Connor since business school. This is about your daughter. Connor met her gaze directly. Yes, the recent publicity has created complications. I need time to establish stability in my personal life before I can give this company the leadership it deserves during a public offering. Your father built this company for 40 years, Gerald reminded him. Everything he worked for. My father died at 62 from his third heart attack, Connor cut in sharply. He missed my graduation to close the Denver acquisition. He and my mother lived separate lives, united only by the Blackwood name and social obligations. He paused, gathering himself. I won't make the same mistake. The meeting ended shortly. After, with Connor promising detailed plans for the postponement strategy by morning. As executives filed out, Diana lingered. That was quite a speech, she observed. Not one I ever expected from Connor Blackwood, corporate shark. Connor's lips quirked in a half-smile. People change. They certainly do, Diana replied. Meredith was in the lobby earlier. Didn't look happy. Connor grimaced. He'd been avoiding that conversation all day. Another bridge to cross. That evening, Connor arrived at his penthouse to find Meredith waiting, a glass of wine in hand and her suitcase by the door. I heard about the board meeting, she said without preamble. 6 months? Why not just set fire to everything we've built? I need time to establish guardianship arrangements, organize Lily's transition, Connor explained, loosening his tie. It's not abandoning the IPO, just postponing it. This isn't about the IPO. Meredith set down her glass with precision. It's about priorities. I've watched you the past 3 weeks, Connor, the way you look at that child and her aunt. Emily has nothing to do with this decision. Doesn't she? Meredith challenged. You've been different since they came into your life. Distracted. Questioning things you never questioned before. Is that so terrible? Connor asked quietly. To question whether I've been pursuing the right things? Meredith studied him for a long moment, then slipped the diamond engagement ring from her finger and placed it on the marble countertop. My father was right. Your focus has shifted. She picked up her suitcase. I won't be part of a merger that's no longer advantageous to either party. After she left, Connor stood at his window, watching the city lights flicker on as dusk settled over Boston. The relief he felt should have troubled him more. Instead, he reached for his phone and dialed Emily's number. When there was no answer, he decided to drive to the lake house. They needed to talk face-to-face about her text message. Limited visitation wasn't an option. Not anymore. He arrived, to find the lake house dark except for a single lamp in the living room. Inside, Emily was folding clothes into a suitcase, her movements quick and efficient. What are you doing? Connor asked from the doorway. Emily startled, then composed herself. I got a job offer in Portland, school nurse position. It comes with housing on campus. Portland, Connor repeated. That's across the country. It's a fresh start, Emily said, not meeting his eyes. After what happened at the gala, it's clear this situation isn't sustainable. I ended things with Meredith, Connor said, the words tumbling out, and I postponed the IPO. Emily finally looked up, her surprise evident. Why would you do that? Because some things matter more than empires, Connor replied, echoing his mother's words. Lily matters, and so do you. Emily shook her head. Connor, you don't have to. I'm not doing this out of obligation, he interrupted, crossing the room to stand before her. I'm doing it because for the first time in my life I'm seeing things clearly. My father built a business but lost his family in the process. I won't make that choice. He reached for her hand, surprised when she didn't pull away. Don't take Lily to Portland. Stay. We can figure this out together. The press conference room at Blackwood Motors headquarters buzzed with anticipation. Journalists from business and tabloid publications alike crowded the seats, cameras flashing as Connor approached the podium. Emily watched nervously from the side of the stage, Lily's small hand clutched in hers. Connor adjusted the microphone, his expression calm despite the stakes. Thank you all for coming on such short notice. I've called this press conference to address the speculation surrounding my personal life and its impact on Blackwood Motors. The room fell silent as Connor continued, his voice gaining strength with each word. 6 weeks ago, I learned I have a daughter. Her name is Lily, and she is 6 years old. He paused, his gaze finding Lily in the wings. I was unaware of her existence until recently, through no fault of her mother's sister, Emily Williams, who has raised her with extraordinary love and dedication since birth. Cameras clicked furiously as Connor gestured toward them. Lily, Emily, would you join me? Emily hesitated, then guided Lily onto the stage. The little girl approached the microphone with surprising confidence, her blue eyes, so like Connor's, wide, as she surveyed the crowd. This is my daddy, Lily announced simply, taking Connor's hand. A ripple of laughter broke the tension. Connor smiled down at her before addressing the press again. I'm announcing today the formation of the Olivia Williams Foundation, named for Lily's mother, my former partner who passed away during childbirth. The foundation will provide support for single parents and children who have lost a parent. He looked directly at the cameras. I'm also confirming that Blackwood Motors' planned IPO will proceed, though on a revised timeline. This company remains committed to growth, but not at the expense of the values that matter most: family, integrity, and responsibility. The press conference concluded with a barrage of questions, most of which Connor's PR team fielded expertly. As they exited through a private door, Connor exhaled deeply. You were amazing, Emily said, genuine admiration in her voice. Both with the press and with Lily. I had good teachers, Connor replied, his eyes warm as they met hers. Speaking of which, have you considered my offer? The foundation needs a director, someone who understands firsthand what these families need. I'm still thinking about it, Emily said, though her tone had softened considerably from her initial resistance to the idea. 2 days later, Eleanor Blackwood hosted a small gathering at her Beacon Hill home, an official introduction to society for Lily. The guest list included only Connor's closest friends and most trusted business associates. Remember, chin up, shoulders back, Eleanor instructed Lily as they prepared to greet the guests. You're a Blackwood, but also a Williams, Emily reminded gently. Just be yourself, sweetheart. To everyone's delight, Lily charmed the room with her unaffected honesty and bright observations. Even Gerald Matthews, the skeptical CFO, was won over when Lily asked earnest questions about his model ship collection. From across the room, Connor watched Emily, struck by how naturally she navigated his world despite her initial discomfort. When Diana Chen cornered her with probing questions about the foundation, Emily responded with a passion and intelligence that clearly impressed his old friend. Later, as the party wound down, Connor joined Emily on the terrace. "You belong here," he said quietly. "With us. With me." Emily gazed out at the garden, the fairy lights reflecting in her eyes. "I never imagined this life for us. Sometimes I wonder if Olivia somehow orchestrated this from wherever she is, making sure Lily would know her father after all." Connor's hand found hers in the darkness. "I think she'd be proud of what we're building, not just for Lily but for others who need the support she never asked for." Inside, Lily's laughter rang out as Eleanor demonstrated a perfect ballet position to an admiring audience. The sound bridged the remaining distance between them, a promise of something neither had dared hope for just months before. 3 months after the press conference, Connor stood in the freshly painted doorway of what had once been his minimalist home office. The space had transformed into a riot of color, lavender walls adorned with framed butterfly drawings, a canopy bed with twinkling fairy lights, and bookshelves filled with everything from picture books to beginning chapter books. "Do you think she'll like it?" he asked, genuinely uncertain. Emily smiled beside him. "She'll love it, though she might rearrange all the stuffed animals within 5 minutes." The transformation of the penthouse mirrored the changes in Connor. Himself, sharp edges softened, emptiness filled with purpose and warmth. The Olivia Williams Foundation had launched successfully, with Emily as its passionate director. Her nursing background and personal experience made her the perfect advocate for families in need. Their new routine had formed naturally. Lily stayed, with Connor on weekends and one weeknight, while Emily lived in a comfortable apartment Connor had found just a few blocks away. Close enough for convenience, but maintaining the separate spaces they both agreed were important during this transition. "Daddy, Aunt Emmy." Lily's voice echoed through the penthouse as Eleanor escorted her from their weekly grandmother-granddaughter ballet lesson. Lily burst into the room, still in her pink leotard and tutu, stopping short at the sight of her new bedroom. Her eyes widened as she took in every detail, from the custom bookshelf to the window seat overlooking the city. "Is this really all for me?" she whispered. "All for you, Princess," Connor confirmed, his heart swelling as she threw her arms around his legs. Later that evening, they sat together in the auditorium of Lily's school, waiting for her class performance to begin. Emily fidgeted with her program, nervous for Lily's sake. "She's been practicing her lines all week," she whispered to Connor. "She'll be wonderful," he assured her, his hand finding hers in the darkened theater. When Lily appeared on stage as the sun in her class's science pageant, radiating confidence as she delivered her lines without hesitation, Connor felt a pride, unlike anything he'd known in business. Glancing at Emily, he saw tears shining in her eyes, the same fierce, protective love that had transformed his understanding of success. Their applause was the loudest in the theater. The cemetery was quiet. On a crisp autumn morning, leaves in shades of gold and crimson drifting across the manicured grounds. Connor parked his car at the entrance, glancing at Emily in the passenger seat. "Are you sure she's ready for this?" he asked softly, nodding toward Lily in the back seat, absorbed in a book. "She's been asking more questions about Olivia." Emily replied, "I think it's time." Today would have been Olivia's 35th birthday. For years, Emily had visited her sister's grave alone, bringing flowers and quiet conversations. This year was different. Lily closed her book as they approached the simple granite headstone. Emily had chosen it years ago, elegant but not ostentatious, with Olivia's name and the dates that encompassed her too brief life. Beneath was etched, "Beloved sister, mother, friend." Connor laid a bouquet of white lilies, Olivia's favorite, against the stone. Lily watched him curiously, then placed her own small bunch of colorful wildflowers beside them. "I wish I could remember her," Lily said, her voice small yet steady. Emily knelt beside her. "I know, sweetheart, but we can share our memories with you so you'll know who she was." "Your mother loved to dance," Connor began, surprising Emily with his openness. Not just ballet like Grandma Eleanor, but anywhere music played. She could hear a song once and remember every word. She had the best laugh, Emily added. Like sunshine breaking through clouds, and she was brave, the bravest person I knew. Was she smart like Aunt Emmy? Lily asked Connor. Brilliant, he confirmed. She was studying to be a doctor when we met. That's why I've created the Olivia Williams Scholarship at Boston Memorial. Emily looked up, startled. You didn't tell me about that. Connor's eyes met hers over Lily's head. I wanted it to be a surprise. The scholarship will help medical students who are single parents or from disadvantaged backgrounds. The first recipient starts in January. For the next hour, they sat on a nearby bench sharing stories about Olivia, her stubbornness that matched Lily's own, her love of chocolate milkshakes, her habit of singing off-key to the radio. With each memory, Lily's understanding of her birth mother grew clearer, forming a picture of the woman whose features she carried. I think she sent me to find Daddy, Lily declared with childlike certainty. She knew we needed each other. The simple statement brought tears to Emily's eyes. Connor reached across Lily to squeeze Emily's hand. The three of them connected in that moment by love for the woman they had lost and found in different ways. As they prepared to leave, Connor lingered at the headstone. I wish things had been different, he said quietly to Emily. If I'd known about the pregnancy. You can't change the past, Emily replied gently. Olivia made her choices. We all did. But look what came from them. She nodded toward Lily, who was carefully arranging the flowers against the stone. The foundation has already helped 20 families, Connor said. Single parents who would have faced what you did alone. Olivia would have loved that. As they walked back to the car, Lily between them holding both their hands, Emily felt a sense of peace she hadn't expected. The grief would always remain, but today it felt lighter, shared among the family they had created from chance and loss and, finally, love. 1 year to the day after their first meeting, Connor's sleek car pulled up outside Blackwood Luxury Motors. This time, instead of steam billowing from a broken-down sedan, twinkling lights illuminated the dealership's windows, visible even through the early evening darkness. Why are we at your work, Daddy? Lily asked, peering out the window curiously. At 7 years old now, she'd grown an inch taller, her confidence blossoming alongside the secure knowledge that she was deeply loved. I have something special to show you both, Connor replied, exchanging a secretive glance with his driver. Emily raised an eyebrow, but Connor merely smiled, the expression now coming naturally to a face that had once been known for its stern, business demeanor. The past year had transformed them all. The Olivia Williams Foundation had expanded to 3 cities, offering support to families like theirs. Blackwood Motors had successfully launched its IPO, though Connor's leadership style had evolved. He now left the office by 6 most evenings and rarely worked weekends. Lily's bedroom walls in both homes were covered with artwork and school, certificates testaments to her thriving under the love of her unique family. As they entered the showroom, Emily gasped. The space had been transformed. Gone were the luxury vehicles, replaced by intimate table settings and cascading white flowers. Photos lined the walls, candid moments capturing their journey together. Lily feeding ducks at the lake house. Connor, asleep on the couch with Lily's storybook still open on his chest. Emily receiving an award for the foundation's work. The 3 of them building a snowman in Eleanor's garden. What is all this? Emily whispered, her fingers tracing a frame containing the crayon drawing Lily had given Connor at their first playground. Meeting, our history, Connor answered simply. The moments that mattered most. Lily ran ahead, delighted to discover enlarged photographs of herself. Look, there's the day we went apple picking, and my ballet recital. As Lily explored, Connor guided Emily to the center of the room where a single car stood, her old sedan, now fully restored to pristine condition. You kept it? Emily asked, incredulous. The car that brought you to me, Connor confirmed. It seemed fitting. Nearby stood a small table where a wooden box, Olivia's keepsake box, now rested. Inside lay the photograph that had confirmed Connor's identity a year ago, alongside newer memories they'd created together. Emily, Connor said quietly, taking her hands in his. This is where our story began. Not in the best circumstances, but maybe the right ones. From his pocket, he withdrew a small velvet box. Behind them, Lily watched with barely contained excitement, clearly in on the secret. I never expected this, Connor continued, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. A second chance at family, at love. You've taught me what truly matters, not acquisitions or portfolios, but moments like these. He knelt down, opening the box to reveal a ring with a sapphire center stone surrounded by diamonds. This isn't about obligation or convenience. This is because I've fallen in love with you, your strength, your kindness, your heart. Will you marry me? Before Emily could answer, Lily rushed forward, unable to contain herself any longer. Please say yes, Aunt Emmy. Then we'll be a real family forever. Emily laughed through tears, looking from Connor to Lily and back again. She thought of Olivia, of chances and choices, of the unlikely path that had led them here. Yes, she said simply. Yes to both of you. As Connor slipped the ring onto her finger, Lily threw her arms around them both. Outside, snow began to fall. The first of the season, christening their new beginning with gentle benediction. What had begun with desperation had transformed into something none of them could have imagined. A family redefined by love, strengthened by challenges, and ultimately made whole not by obligation but by choice.